Hi, everyone. Welcome to Childcare Unplugged, hosted by me, Chantel Pettingill. A little bit about the podcast. I started creating this podcast for our daycare families to help with any questions they may have on parenting, daycare, anything with child development. We also answer questions that parents typically have about childcare and about our program. I am like most of you know, I'm a mom of two, Evelyn, who is 13, and Sawyer, who is 11. And I've been doing childcare for over 23 years. So we come twice a month with topics around that. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about something that I take as a philosophy in our childcare program, but also as a parent, revolving around sharing. But first, I just want to tell you, what a week it's been. The daycare is closed next week, so I can travel down to Orlando, Florida for the Child Care Success Academy. We're able to bring down 4 of our team members this year, thanks to like a lot of the grant money that the state gave during COVID. So we're excited to be able to bring down some of our teachers and admin to that. But I'm also bringing down the kids because we don't really get to take vacation. So I use traveling for conferences as vacation time. And let me tell you the difference between Evelyn and Sawyer. Evelyn, being a girl, being 13, she made to-do lists. She even made me a packing list of everything to pack. She has her suitcase packed by day, so organized. And then I went and double checked Sawyer's, and he didn't even have enough clothes in the suitcase for enough of the days, and he had more stuffed animals than he did underwear. Oh, the difference between boys and girls, and even like older and younger children. It's fun, let me tell you. So like we go through a lot of the challenges just like any other parent with things like that. And I just had to share that a little bit because I'm like, okay, help us out, let's get going. Mom has a lot to do with work and getting you guys ready. Because not only do we leave for Orlando next week, we have to go to New Hampshire for a softball tournament this weekend. So that means I'm trying to get everything done tonight. So that way we can head down to New Hampshire and then fly out to Orlando on Monday. But if you don't have children yet that can pack, one thing we've always done is have them involved with the packing so they can see what we do, but it shows you too, even by modeling it, it doesn't always work. So that's my fun story of the day of parenting. But going back to our topic of the day, thinking about like, what is one thing you remember playing as a child with others, such as your siblings, your cousins, the neighborhood kids? You would get the like, she won't share with me. And then our parents or caregiver would tell us to make sure we're sharing and, give them a turn. As adults in education, I still hear this in my profession. And it really started getting me to think, as adults, do we hand over what we're doing to the other person? If they want a turn, not typically. The person waits until we're done using it and then they have their turn, like take the photocopy at work, for example. We're using it. The person waits till we're done with it to use the photocopier. So if we don't do it as adults, then why are we requiring our young children to give up the toy they're using to share? I've never been a full believer of forcing sharing with young children, and try to take a different approach with both my own children and also the kids at the daycare. And I really work with my teachers as well to do this too. When we force children to stop what they're doing and sharing, we're teaching them that their needs aren't as important and that their play isn't important. And we must stop playing to make someone else happy. If you have a friend come over to the house and they really like the book that you're reading, you wouldn't expect them to say sharing is caring and you hand it over to them. Instead, you might say something like, oh my gosh, this book's so good. Would you like to borrow it after I'm done reading it? This is the approach we should take with our children as well. So instead of requiring them to share, you can teach them to take turns instead, such as, Sally, would you like to play with the doll? So after you're done playing with it, so when you're done, can you hand it to Sally? It kind of teaches them that the adults in the situation respect that their play and also respect their feelings as well. The other thing we can teach the children to respond to their friends with is, I'm playing with the toy right now, but I can give it to you when I'm done. This helps empower the child with their friends. It helps eliminate the stress of and the threat of, oh my God, my toy is going to get snatched away. If I don't hurry up and play with it and someone else wants it, they're going to take it away. It relieves a lot of the anxiety out of the children as well. And then the other thing you can do when they want to turn is to have them ask the other child, when you're done playing with it, can I have a turn? If there's a multiple of the toy, teach the children to include the friends, such as, I'm playing with this car, but here's another one. Would you like to play with me? Just to help build that community, that trust, that empowerment, and even that respect between adult and child, and even child and child. By taking this approach to sharing, it helps the children feel respected by the adult and other children around them, as well as teaching them empowerment and independence with the choices they can make. So that way, if they're done within 5 minutes, or they can choose to be done with it in 10 minutes. We're dealing with young children. So a lot of times, if they know they have the power, they'll play with it for like 3 more minutes. And they're like, here, Sally, here's the truck. Versus where you're like, can you give the truck up? They might be like, throw the temper tantrum, causes a lot more stress, chaos, both at home and in the classroom. So that's one way we approach. It's a big approach I've taken with my own 2 children. It's actually worked really well with it, and just something that we don't always think about as adults, but then when you do start thinking about it, we're like, oh wow, that makes a lot more sense. Because I was like that, even through college and as I went through my teaching career. So the last part of the podcast that we didn't do last time, but I wanted to integrate this time, is we want to be able to answer questions that we receive from families in our program, just so they can learn a little bit about our program and also feel more comfortable about getting questions answered. So the question that I received recently was, hi, Chantel, I was curious about something. I usually drop off around 7 in the morning. And when I do, sometimes it's not the normal teacher that's in there. Why is that? Thank you for your question, for one. In our program, most of our teachers work a 10-hour 4-day schedule instead of 5. This allows them to be in the classroom more daily. So they're there for drop off and pickup. They're there with the children more through the day. But however, this also requires them to have a full day off during the week. Our operation day is also longer than 10 hours. We're open 6:45, 5:45. So we're open about 11 hours. So we stagger our start time. So we have a 6:45 to 4:45 schedule. We have a 7 to 5. We have a 7:15 to 5:15, and we have a 7:30 to 5:30 schedule. To be able to do this, we open up 3 or 4 classrooms and we combine similar ages together. So like our infants will be together. A lot of times our 1s, sometimes 1s and 2s are together. And then our preschool are together. And as the teachers for the other classrooms punch in for the day, they begin to move the children into their classrooms. All our teachers, help out in the different classrooms, as this helps build community. And it also helps to get the children get to know the other teachers in the building. And it ensures that when we do have call outs, which does happen, it's childcare, teachers get sick, we're able to have coverage in our classrooms. There are a lot of childcare programs, both in the state of Maine and around the country, that when they have to close classrooms when they're call out. I am proud and happy to say that even though sometimes it does take a little bit of moving kids around or teachers around, making sure things are covered, we've never had to close down a classroom because of lack of staff. Our directors will jump in a classroom if needed. Zach and I will go and jump in a classroom if needed, because we know how important it is to stay reliable for our families. So we really make sure that our classrooms are open and that we're within ratio. We're proud to say that we haven't had any issues where we've had to send kids home because of being at a ratio and things like that. We've always been able to cover our classrooms with our teachers. But like I said, it does sometimes take a little bit of moving teachers around to different classrooms, or sometimes just moving a child to another classroom for the day in the same age group for it. And that's the nice thing about our program too, is I have multiple classrooms per age group. So we can do a little bit of that if we need to make sure we stay open for the families. we really appreciate your understanding with this and the flexibility of working with us on the tough days. I try to be as transparent as possible. So if there's a day where the directors are in the classroom, you might have to call twice so we can run and get the phone real quick, things like that. But we do appreciate you working with us in that aspect, because like I said, it's important for us to stay reliable for families, because we know you guys have to work as well. And calling out of work is very difficult to do. And then we have one more question for today. It says, hello, I have a 4.5-year-old with you, and he's been there since he was a baby, and we love Pettingill Academy. But I noticed you don't do a lot of worksheets every day like some of my friends' preschoolers do. And I know when he gets to school, that'll change. How come you don't do worksheets? Thank you for your question. We use a lot of hands-on learning. The more I learn as a director and as an admin and as an educator, the more I'm finding how much play-based learning is so much more beneficial than worksheets to young children. Having them use their hands and explore, they get so much more out of it. The neurons in the brain click more for them, and it really helps them with like the spiraling and remembering the stuff. So we at Pettingill Academy do a research-based curriculum called Learning Beyond Paper. It does tie with our ProCare app. You might be seeing like the learning things from your teachers on the app as well. And it allows for exploratory hands-on learning versus worksheet-based learning. The students will participate in movement. They participate in science experiments, class discussions. They do stories. Sometimes they'll listen to the story being read on YouTube. Sometimes it's the teacher, so that way they can do listening activities with it. So it allows that exploratory. We do supplement at times with worksheets because kids love to color. And we also do a lot of like matching things that might be worksheet based. Also handwriting, we still use worksheets with, just because you can't really learn handwriting without them. But we do focus on the exploratory learning as much as possible, because that's how the young children learn best and how they retain the material best. So that's all I have for today. I look forward to seeing you guys in a few weeks. The third Friday of the month, I'll come out with another one. I hope everyone has an amazing weekend, and we'll see you guys, everyone, at the schools on October 16th. Bye, guys. Have a great one.